Hi, it's Ileana. So today I am exploring sort of what I did as a remote viewing project. The project was to have a psychic look, basically what's going on in my neighborhood, to see if there's any crafts that are cloaked, that are flying around cloaked, whether they're reverse engineered human made crafts or extraterrestrial crafts, to focus in the neighborhoods where I live and to do a remote viewing experiment, thought consciousness experiment, by closing my eyes, clearing everything out of my mind, and just going around to the places where I've normally been, and just at different times at night, during the day, and just with my mind to probe if there's anything flying around in the skies that is cloaked and how much of it is there. That was the latest project that I've been doing, and I called it Beyond the Drones, Cloaked Crafts Flying in the Earthly Skies, because we also have drones flying around at night that I've seen, different kinds of drones, higher up drones that are higher consciousness, I guess, that could be non-human type, and I've seen drones that are big and human, obviously human-made drones surveilling something where I live. But this is going beyond the drones to see what kind of crafts are cloaked. And you can't see them with the physical eyes on that spectrum, but you could probably see it in the infrared spectrum if you have a certain type of mirrorless camera that you're using at certain frame rates with infrared filtering, and it shows you what the crafts can look like, because all these crafts are, I think some of them are using plasma propulsion systems to power them. And there's kind of like a warp bubble around all these crafts that cloak them, so they're invisible to the human spectrum. So you don't see what's flying in the sky. It's cloaked. But on a consciousness level, some people can see these crafts, or sometimes they semi-decloak so you can get it captured on video, on the special video. So that's part of that, like some people have captured video and it's like something is darting around. So it's the video is still not perfect, so people have done simulations of what they've filmed. So I'm just going to start what I remote viewed with a lot of the crafts that I first started seeing. They're around houses. Like there's traffic. Where I've looked, it's been near parks, houses, near mountains, city areas. And these crafts are cloaked, so there could be a gigantic cylindrical craft flying near a house or hovering near a house, and it's totally invisible to the people. They're not seeing that, but it's there. And this could be man-made reverse engineered human craft from Black Ops groups, secret space program stuff, or it could be extraterrestrial origin as well, because sometimes the crafts that they now build are indistinguishable. And I saw through the remote viewing a lot of these cylindrical crafts near modern houses that are kind of like square shaped. The houses are modern, these modern houses that are built. We have a lot of these types of houses in White Rock. So they have rooftops and they have several levels, and they're kind of square shaped. Some of the houses are older, some of the houses are newer, but it's like they have backyards with trees in them and stuff. And this is mostly at night where I remote viewed the crafts, and I saw a lot of cylindrical crafts. And I picked up that these are mostly man-made, reverse engineered, and that there's busy traffic near South Surrey, White Rock area. And I tried to simulate as much of a real factor as I could in what I was remote viewing, like the type of houses where these crafts are near, cloaked, and they're just flying over the houses. It's like, it seems to be these crafts are flying where they're supposed to be flying or hovering, and there's traffic, and it's cloaked. These huge cylindrical crafts that are carrier ships, cargo ships, or just transport vessels, transporting personnel, cargo, and stuff. It's like a normal, everyday basis, things that are occurring. These types of reverse engineered crafts are just going from wherever bases they come from, facilities. They're traveling just to and from those places. There seems to be a lot of traffic in the earthly skies. They're just plasma powered crafts that are flying about their business, but they're cloaked. But this is what I was seeing through the remote viewing lens. And these crafts are just flying past houses, cloaked. A lot of cylindrical crafts. And they're not all the same shape. Some of them are more round, some of them are more elongated. Some of them are flying during the day, some of them are flying at night, but it's man-made human technology. Most of these crafts are plasma powered from the energy sources. The cylindrical type of crafts seem to be a very common type of a shape that's usual for reverse engineered crafts of human origin that are cloaked, that have the warp bubble around them, cloaking them. It has an energy field around it, so there's a physical object in the energy bubble, and it's cloaked. And I could see the craft, and I can just see them flying above normal houses. It's just what these craft do. So it seems to be a traveling corridor. That I sort of went into the Rocky Mountains a little bit and higher up in BC, like near Whistler and stuff. I went outside of South Surrey, White Rock. I went more towards the mountains, the Whistler area, and I saw more of these cylindrical crafts. Some are smaller with less crew on them, and some are bigger with more crew on them. Humans are flying around in these cylindrical crafts. Silver cylindrical crafts, black cylindrical crafts, smaller or bigger, and sometimes they emit energy frequencies from the crafts, and basically plasma powered. And some of these crafts have bigger levels and some smaller. So some of them are the size of carrier ships and others are smaller. They have more crew, less crew, more cargo, less cargo, depending on what the mission parameters of the crafts are. So it seems like this is a whole other advanced developed technology beyond the drones, beyond the hovering drones that were spotted in New York, in New Jersey. Like, these crafts are flying around on a daily basis. So this is what is cloaked right now, flying above us on a daily basis. Like, it's normal, it's standard for the cylindrical crafts, and they're crafts that, they are advanced plasma powered propulsion, plasmoid powered crafts. And they're anti-gravity crafts as well, because they use stealth technology. They're cloaked. They have human personnel, human cargo, transporting goods and services. piloting them, people transporting cargo as well, moving things around from base to base, facility to facility. Sometimes it's topside, sometimes it's underground. And these crafts fly above the tree line, the forest line, above people's houses. Sometimes they're hovering, cloaked. And we don't even notice them, but they're there. They're transporting stuff, people, and cargo. That's what they mainly do. It's not really extraterrestrial crafts. Sometimes there are extraterrestrial crafts of origin, but it's mainly reverse engineered man-made crafts that can look like ET crafts. And it's hard to tell the difference. It's just energetically, it has a feeling who's inside them. And I'm getting humans that this is earthly based, that this happens on a daily basis. And it's an industry. Some of these are townhouses and some of these are just houses. This could be near a golf course. This could be near a river, near the mountains. They're just craft going about their business, cloaked, stealth mode. And the reason why these crafts are cloaked is that they're just flying about doing their business. It's like advanced aspect of technology that is above the airplane stuff and the helicopter stuff and above the drone stuff even. This is the most advanced stuff we have. And the drones are maybe like they were decloaking to prepare us for these crafts, the next iteration of what's already available in advanced tech, but it's been hidden for 80 years because these craft were originally reverse engineered from extraterrestrial crafts. The cylindrical shape seems to be a highly prevalent shape that's commonly used in human reverse engineered programs, flying in the night sky or during the day, even cloaked. And they're not bumping into airplanes or helicopters because they have their own propulsion systems to avoid all the air traffic, anything FAA or, anything in Canada or the US. They avoid the air traffic of airplanes and helicopters. They're flying in their own zone lanes, I guess, cloaked. So this is why airplanes don't bump into them or helicopters, and it's not a threat because they're cloaked. And that's to keep the secrecy going. And some of these cylindrical crafts are like transport ships, carrier ships. They're huge. And they're transporting goods and services, going about their daily business, like I said. And some of them are transporting human personnel wherever they need to go, from work to work, from base to base, or just transporting them to wherever they need to go for whatever jobs they're doing. And that's a whole other aspect of human life, the secret technology that's flying above our heads on a daily basis. It's amazing to see it in the remote viewing, and the prevalence. Cylindrical craft are just highly prevalent, or semi-cylindrical, because it's a aerodynamic type of craft shape, I guess, that's easy to build, to replicate, reverse engineer. So it's been highly used in many different programs. Human-based legacy reverse engineering programs by Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, reverse engineered Raytheon, EG&G, General Dynamic, in these different facilities where these crafts are reverse engineered. A lot of it was done in California. A lot of it, there's bases between US border and Canadian border, underground base facilities where these crafts are housed and they transport stuff. Again, a lot of cylindrical crafts in the remote viewing. I just kept seeing these flying over houses, flying in the sky above mountains, forests, tree lines, forests, ocean, lakes, like they fly everywhere in the sky. So this is quite the prevalence of these different cylindrical crafts. Like I said, smaller, bigger. A lot of it happens at night in the routes, I guess, but some of it is during the day in the morning as well. And again, transport ships. So many transport ships are just personnel. Some of them bigger, smaller, and they seem to be part of the advanced secret space program, human-run space program on Earth. Advanced anti-gravity, plasma-powered propulsion systems, electromagnetic propulsion as well, and energy-based FTL drives, as well FTL powered crafts. Some of these cylindrical crafts have FTL engines. So I would assume some of them can go, the plasma powered ones can go beyond the speed of light, and they might just also be used in above Earth orbit to fly to other planets. I think they have these capabilities, but these are mostly transport ships that are flying in Earth airspace, like on our planet on a daily basis, human-made, reverse-engineered crafts. But I think they can go to other planets, and they're designed to leave Earth orbit, I would assume, because they're transporting a lot of stuff. And they're flying about, so it's like very prevalent in different designs of cylindrical craft. They're very prevalent, again. Cylindrical shaped crafts, silver, black, a lot of silver ones in different lengths, different sizes. Some of them are more cylindrical, some of them are more elongated. A bunch of cylindrical craft just flying or hovering above people's houses, and people don't even see them. These are the black ones, very elongated. So I think this can cover a lot of cargo and transport a lot of cargo. It's very typical. And some of these houses are newer and some of them are older in South Surrey, White Rock area. And we have a lot of beautiful trees, mountains, forested areas still where these crafts are spotted. Higher up in Whistler, Squamish, you can still see places like this with a lot of trees and stuff and cabins and houses. So it's very pretty, picturesque landscapes. And again, I tried to simulate the cityscape as best as I could into what actually exists in our neighborhoods to show what these crafts look like. This is a craft flying from above in a forested area. And some of the houses are very modern. Some of them are older. We have a lot of beautiful architecture in Vancouver, South Surrey, White Rock area, and just some of these crafts are more, they even look like submarines or something, because originally reverse engineering of crafts, they added different type of engines to submarines, and it went from underwater to space flight. So looks like the cylindrical shape, the shape they've kept of the cylindrical stuff, because submarines have this type of a shape. So it's interesting how that has been kept because it's aerodynamic. This seems to be the most prevalent type of craft that flies around in human populated areas. It's cloaked, but I could see it in the remote viewing detail, and this is the plasma kind of energy frequency that it was putting out. These are the black cylindrical crafts. This is the bigger type, again, just, transporting stuff that it needs to transport. And now we get to the saucer and disc crafts. I did see some of those as well in the remote viewing. black ones, silver ones, white ones, just flying about their business. Some of these are extraterrestrial, some of these are man-made again. The saucer shape seems to also be prevalent in what flies above the tree lines and the houses. And again, these houses are typical. This is human-made houses. Some of it has stucco, some of it has hardy boards. It's just the typical houses and the typical stuff we have here in South Surrey. White rock trees. You can see the beautiful stars in the night sky. We have a lot of different oceanside stuff, mountains. In British Columbia, it's very beautiful, and these crafts are cloaked, doing their business above people's houses. We have a lot of houses that have a lot of land, like 8,000 square feet of land. So some of these houses have very big backyards and space. And if you go higher above South Surrey, White Rock, like you can buy a couple of acres. South Surrey, White Rock, some houses still have big property with plenty of backyard space. So it's kind of like you can see these open areas where these crafts are. So again, I tried to simulate as close as I could, like the physical environment where I was seeing these crafts. And White Rock sort of has these tiered levels of going uphill, and even the roads. So it's like flying where this craft was flying above the hills. So it's interesting to see. This is more towards Whistler and kind of like during the winter where this craft was flying. So you can see the stars, the beautiful lit up sky, where this saucer craft was. And this is more like springtime in Whistler, where all these, like Whistler Village, where all these houses and townhouses are. Very interesting, more towards the mountainside. This is kind of like above the cityscape, South Surrey, and going towards Whistler, so very beautiful. And you can see the saucer-shaped craft hovering above the cityscape, the mountains, higher up elevation, and it's just traveling, going where it needs to go. And again, this saucer craft was like more in an open area between houses and a lake. So that was interesting, between a lake and a golf course. And this is more of the white saucer shaped craft hovering above the tree line, and it had some of its lights activated, so I was looking for something. And this is the white saucer shaped disc craft. Again, we have a lot of these houses and kind of like they have larger backyards in South Surrey, White Rock area. So this is typical of what these homes look like in the environment. I tried to simulate the environment as close as I could get to the actual physical environments of the physical places where I was seeing these crafts. And this is more of beside the river and the golf course, where you have rows of these homes in South Surrey, and the octagonal crafts were hovering above these houses. This is like a cargo craft from what I was able to pick up, octagon shaped, and there was one bigger one, one smaller one. And you have these kind of areas that haven't been built out yet, so they're like nature walks. You can go and do a nature walk by the river, and the houses are on the other side. So it's still, there's pockets that are very beautiful, and there's more octagonal craft hovering where you can even see the mountain view from your house. It's very beautiful. Beautiful homes. Some are older, some are newer builds. And you have these octagonal shaped crafts hovering cloaked above the houses. And again, it's kind of more more lakeside, kind of a between houses, between parks area where you can walk in the park, and there's houses and golf courses. There's an octagonal craft hovering above this communal park area space between the houses. It's cloaked, and I was quite surprised to see some of these craft shapes of octagonal crafts, like a cube. Like this one was like a cube. It was black, and it was hovering above this octagonal craft, kind of like more where the trees are, the houses are, and the hills between the trees. And I saw a cube, kind of this black cube, hovering above this octagonal craft, which was interesting. And this is kind of more like towards the sunset, towards the evening, springtime, because winter is almost over and it's kind of going into spring here. And this is kind of like a smaller octagonal craft flying above the treetops and the houses up the hill, and a larger view of it, because we have like a lot of houses and townhouses being built, like luxury townhouses, 4 3-bedroom townhouses, which is unique in some of these areas between the forest and the lake and these developments, which is interesting because they're trying to integrate green space with homes in South Surrey White Rock to preserve that with some aspects of nature, to still have living spaces that are not concrete city jungles like Vancouver, Burnaby, New Westminster, downtown. Everything is high rises and towers, where South Surrey White Rock, it's kind of like more 2-story, 3-story houses and townhouses. So it's interesting. And this was hovering, the octagonal shaped craft was hovering above the townhouses in this area. It was interesting. And this one was hovering above the I guess these are homes that are in a gated community, because we have gated communities as well. So that's interesting. And they have this kind of open concept area where it's kind of like kids can play park-like area in the gated communities. There's the octagonal craft hovering above it. So that's interesting. And sphere crafts, I didn't find many sphere crafts. I can only, during the remote viewing, only saw 2 sphere crafts, and those could be extraterrestrial origin, dematerializing and materializing, because there was this 2 kind of like portal or something phenomenon in the sky, and then out of that came the sphere craft right in like the middle of the field of the houses, because we have hills in some areas, so we have houses like this open concept stuff. And the sphere was like right in the middle of it. It was also cloaked, and it was a silver sphere. It was smaller size sphere. It's not a huge craft. So I only saw 2 instances of spheres. And this is a bigger sphere, but it has something here attached to the sphere. This could be man-made, or I suspect this one is extraterrestrial and this is man-made, perhaps. Or it could be extraterrestrial. It's hard to say, really. But I only saw 2 instances of spheres going, flying over above the skyline, above the houses. And then I also saw several triangular crafts flying above the tree lines and homes at night. These are some of the smaller triangular crafts, and very interesting, the different designs. This is kind of like, this is still triangular, but more roundish. I haven't typically seen these ones, so this is rare to see something like this. It's more typical to see like the triangles like this, like a dart. Looks like a dart. Human-made crafts. This one might be extraterrestrial because I've never seen something like this. And it has some kind of system, propulsion system. I'm not sure what this is, what this is powered with. But it's typical to also see clusters of homes built right next to each other. And they don't have very big backyards, so that's also typical to see kind of more in like central Surrey. This was out in the woods somewhere, this triangular type of a craft, which I don't see much of. So this was kind of like a mystery to me what this was in the mountains, more so in the mountains, and it had this kind of yellow-orange glow around it. So, but it was triangular and was several levels. I think this is human-made as well. And this type of a triangular shape, also typical. I've seen stuff like this. This is towards more Whistler where I saw this, Squamish Whistler. In remote viewing, I chose several locations where I was remote viewing, and this was flying at kind of like more when it was setting sun. Not so typical, kind of like I've seen more of what looks like a TR3B type of crafts that I photographed during the night in South Surrey White Rock, but this is more like octagonal / triangular, so that was interesting. And this was a big one, big triangular craft hovering. I think that could be a carrier ship or a huge cargo ship. It's like bluish silver, it's hovering above what looks like a hotel village or something in Whistler. I guess this looks like a hotel. This doesn't look like private homes. This looks like a hotel in Whistler, more so up in the mountains. And this craft was huge, so it could be a carrier ship. Human-made. I felt this was human-made. This is more like the TR3B type of a craft, like the typical triangle propulsion, like triangle-shaped plasma-powered propulsion kind of a craft. Again, in homes that are larger, older-sized homes, towards the Rocky Mountains somewhere in Canada. That's what the location feels more like to me. Also cloaked, human-made, reverse-engineered. This feels plasma-powered, medium-sized, like TR3B, TR4B, TR36. Kind of like that kind of a craft, the newer models, versions. And I saw some egg-shaped crafts as well. Those are not typical. I honestly haven't seen that many of them, but I did see some of them. And it was like more towards the hills and stuff, up in the hills and orchards. This was near Apple Orchard and also lemons, apples and lemon orchard. And we have some orchards towards more of the Okanagan. I think this is more up towards the Okanagan where I saw this, the egg-shaped craft. This one is just kind of like from a distance. And again, this is like more of a mansion type where I think this is 20,000 square feet of a property where this craft, egg-shaped craft, was kind of hovering above during the night where I saw this. I'm not exactly sure where this location is. It could have been White Rock. This is like another egg-shaped craft, some attachment on it, flying above the city, kind of like Vancouver. Feels like Vancouver. Some parts of Vancouver are beautiful, like where Lionsgate is. It still has these neighborhoods that have a lot of trees and stuff, but the city is huge and it's always filled with lights. And this was hovering above a house. I feel this is Vancouver. The white-shaped egg with the extension, kind of like, don't feel like this is a satellite. I feel this is a craft of some sort, egg-shaped craft. And some of the egg-shaped crafts are very elongated and white and long. So they're carrying crew and personnel. And these could be human-made, reverse engineered, or extraterrestrial of nature. Perhaps not from Earth origins. Again, it's hard to tell between, I think this one is human-made and this one non-human-made perhaps. It's pulsing some kind of an energy from it, and this could have been in White Rock. This is an older type of a home from the 70s and 60s. This doesn't feel earthly to me. This doesn't feel of an earthly nature. It feels like an extraterrestrial craft. And it's beaming something or looking for something, some kind of a scanning system. It feels more not in White Rock or South Surrey. It's somewhere different in BC. I'm not sure which location this is. It's somewhere in BC because I went all over the place. It's kind of more tracking the energy of the craft. But it's highly forested and it had bigger houses. It's like kind of hills up in the hills and manicured and beautiful mansions where this egg-shaped craft was, and it was using a scan beam or something because it was putting a lot of energy out. It felt quite interesting and intriguing, unique to me from what I was remote viewing. And this is kind of like, this is an egg-shaped craft, obviously. It's floating above, actually floating out in an open area, not above the tree line. It was very close to the ground. It was white and it was kind of glowing with side lights. It was interesting. It was at night, but it was also cloaked. I was like, what is it doing beside people's houses? What is it doing there? But it was interesting. It was just hovering there to see that. And this one was kind of elongated. I put it still in the egg-shaped category of crafts, but it was really like lit up underneath. It was kind of near a park area where homes are, between a park and homes. So it could have been anywhere. Could have been near Blaine area, a little bit like going beyond the border. Because we're 30 minutes in White Rock, South Surrey. We're just close to 30 minutes away from Blaine, US-Canadian border. I feel this is more like Blaine, between Blaine houses and a golf course, where this is, and this feels similar. Another kind of elongated egg-shaped craft with human personnel somewhere out in Blaine, where there's houses and a golf course. Similar to this, but just more defined, I guess. Could have been a cargo craft, could have just been transporting personnel. It's hard, but it is advanced. It feels plasma powered to me. So and this is like very interesting. This also felt between the Canada border and US. So Blaine, Bellingham. This felt outside of South Surrey, White Rock. And it's egg-shaped, but it's also elongated. So it's kind of like a different egg shape. It feels plasma-powered to me, very advanced propulsion system. It's very quiet. It is cloaked, and it's just hovering there between the houses and the tree line and the mountains. This feels Bellingham to me, like this is in Bellingham, US. And this was interesting. It's that egg-shaped craft with the side lights, and it also has a smaller transport craft, where it's like a shuttle. It felt very Star Trek-like. Shuttle, like a smaller shuttle, plasma-powered shuttle with one or two people inside. Crew, and this egg shape that had like 10 crew on it, human, these felt like human reverse engineered crafts, because some of the egg-shaped crafts can be human reverse engineered technology, and some of them are non-human made. But reverse engineering legacy programs have been able to, in the Black Ops programs, black sites have been able to reverse engineer these kinds of crafts, and they're cloaked and they're typical. This is what you would find flying in the Earth skies at night, above large cities and homes and roads, because the road is lit up, so it's in a well-lit city. It could have been a US or Canadian city. I'm not sure where my consciousness went with this, but it's highly populated where there's a lot of streets and neighborhoods. So this could be either US city or Canadian city. Not sure which one, but there's a lot of houses and it's well lit. Where these two crafts were hovering, cloaked. The egg-shaped one with the side lights and sort of like shuttle spacecraft. And this has felt more like winter to me because there was some snow on the trees. This felt like in an older neighborhood that has old growth trees and a large, older type of a house mansion. It could have been like on the border of Canada and the US, between Canada and US border, where there's a lot of old growth, still like forested area, because we have those kinds of areas. And this is kind of like the elongated whitish blue green kind of a craft, egg-shaped, still in that egg shape category, but much larger, because some of the egg-shaped craft are actually satellites, and some of them are craft that have crew on them, human crew or non-human, because again, some of these are human origin crafts and some of them are not human origin crafts, and some of them are remote controlled and some of them are not. A lot of these crafts have human personnel on them. That's what I sensed energetically. Mostly human. This could have been non-human or human, but it felt like this felt non-human to me, like non-human entities on this craft, not from Earth, more like exotic off-world craft. This one also felt non-human, exotic. And I'm just trying to find examples that felt like it had non-human beings on them, and this one felt like that, and so did this one. Those are the two that felt like they had non-human occupants on the craft. So yeah, very interesting remote viewing project, and this is something I was doing on my own. I wanted to see what human consciousness could pick up of what's cloaked beyond the drones, like what craft are cloaked, flying in the Earth skies at different points at night, during the day, the morning, sunset. And I had several different locations, and sometimes my consciousness went further out in locations than I was either choosing. Would go to the US border as well, like Blaine and Bellingham. So that was interesting, between South Surrey, White Rock, Vancouver, Blaine, Bellingham, those areas. Whistler, Squamish, also higher up in BC, an Okanagan area. Very interesting crafts, locations. Yeah, the sphere crafts seem to be the least amount that I was seeing. Like only two sphere crafts, so that was interesting. So here, not as common. The sphere craft are not as common as the other types to see that as what's cloaked, even for spheres. So we have less spheres than the other craft types. At least that's what I saw in this remote viewing. Maybe if I looked at another time, because I was doing this over a 1 week period, this remote viewing, so it was over like 4 or 5 days. The cube was interesting. Like this doesn't feel earthly. This feels like man-made. This doesn't feel man-made. This feels off-world, this craft here. Like it's not made from Earth. It's not made by Earth. But this is. So the octagonal ones also feel man-made. So that was interesting. Mostly it's man-made, reverse engineered. Yeah, and just going through all of this. And I did some astrophotography about 1.5 years ago with a mirrorless camera, and attaching the mirrorless camera to a telescope. And I got some anomalous activity of things that looked like craft, but nothing of like close range of anything that looked too close images of something. So I wanted to just try to do 3D modeling of what these craft look like from what I'm remote viewing. And honestly, it's like I had to do some interesting modeling characteristics to get these proportions correct of all of this, because it's unique and size proportioned. So I had to do environment modeling vectoring to get this right as best as I could from what I was physically seeing in the remote viewing, and to do justice to the physical environments of these locations, to get it as right as I could based on where my consciousness was going and what I was remote viewing in these locations, which some of these places I know of and have been to, and some of these places I haven't visited for a while, like Whistler, the Okanagan. I'm mainly in South Surrey, White Rock area where I am, and yeah, I just felt like this was an interesting remote viewing consciousness experiment that I wanted to share the results of, and this was done in late February 2025, this remote viewing experiment. And I wanted to share that. Thank you so much.